everyone! Welcome back to another making of video. Today we're looking at Markiplier animated ex-boyfriend Chad. But before I start talking about the video itself, let's go to the questions. Have you ever dared to make an animation using only the mouse? God, no. No, the type of animation that I do right now would be a pain to do with just the mouse. I used just the mouse back in the day when I was doing stick animations, but stick animations are just, sticks. So they're not very complex characters, so you can easily do them with a mouse. But animations like this, no. Just no. It's really... I mean, some people might be able to pull it off. I can't. I wish I had this program to animate. For now, I use MS Paint and Windows Movie Maker to animate. Well, story time. Believe it or not, when I was younger, like 10 years ago, I used to use Paint and Windows Movie Maker. That's how I actually started doing animations. I'd watch stick animations and I would just ask myself, how the hell do they do that? The word Flash was passed around, but I could never understand that that was actually a software that you could use to animate. But I understood that for something to animate, you needed several pictures in a sequence to make the object or the character move. So basically you draw it on Paint, then you save several images, which are your frames. Then you shove them into Windows Movie Maker. I can't remember exactly what I did, but I think there's like a speed dial and you can make them go really fast and it would look like an animation. And then that's how I would make them. That's how I started. Flash is really a big step up and a must if you want to do animation. It's not the only animation software that exists, but if you want to jump into animation, I would suggest going into that one. But until you have it, keep practicing on MS Paint. God, I started there, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Why did you send Mark your animated video before posting it here? Why? I understand what you're saying, because a lot of animators, when they animate another YouTuber, they post it on their channel, and then if that YouTuber likes it, contacts him, and then he uploads it to his channel. That's what happened, for instance, with me and Jack. I uploaded the Jack animation here, and he liked it, so he asked for permission to put it on his channel. With Mark, it's slightly different. I've been working with Mark for a long time, and how it started was I made 2 animations for my channel, and he really liked them. He wanted to start having animations on his own channel, so he asked me if I could from time to time do him some animations, and I said yes. So every animation of Mark that I do goes directly to him. The only thing I put here are the making-ofs, so you guys can see how I actually did it. But other than that, the Markiplier animations stay in Markiplier's channel, not mine. I think the most amazing thing is lip sync. It's probably easier for an artist, but heck, that shit is crazy looking to me. Well, first of all, thank you. And second, no, it's not easy at all. The hardest part is really to figure out what he's saying and what shape should the mouth take to actually make sense. And there's this game of sound and shape that goes into place when you're doing this. Sometimes you can't be very faithful to the words. You need to be faithful to the sound the character is making. And when they speak really fast, it's really hard, and you need to play it over and over again. And sometimes it doesn't come out the way you want it, and it takes a really long time to get it right. Plus, in my style, I draw every single mouth, so I can't really reuse other mouth shapes. I need to listen in very closely and try to figure out the best way to space out each frame for it to look good. I know this wasn't really a question, but it follows quite nicely to the next one, which is, for the lip syncing, is it mostly copy-paste for the basic mouth movements? I mean, some animators do that. Some animators do like a stock of mouth shapes, and basically when they're animating, the only thing they do is replace the mouth shape as they go on, so that way they don't need to redraw it every single time. But I'm crazy, so I do it like that. I redraw every single mouth. But of course, if you want to do it that way, it's totally acceptable. And a lot of animators using that technique can make it look amazing. That's also how most animated TV shows do their lip sync, with saved stock mouth shapes, and they just replace it. It's much faster than having to redraw every single mouth. But again, I'm crazy. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, Lix, what the hell is going on? It's not bothering me that much, but compared to the other making-ofs, the quality of this video is kinda weird. Doesn't look that good compared to the other ones. So here's what happened. I usually record my screen with my Elgato. Basically what happened was, when I was animating this section of the animation, my Elgato decided to be a little bitch and not work properly. And me being me and not having enough patience to fix it because I had an animation to do, I didn't fix it. But eventually it worked, and you'll see the difference in 3, 2, 1. I was really late with the animation, and spending time fixing that problem wasn't really part of my plan because I was really late. But one day during the line work, I just decided to try it, and it was working. It was not being a little bitch anymore, so I decided, well, whatever, let's just record with this one. But anyway, that was just an FYI. Back to the questions, shall we? He said, I love this series of making-ofs. It's so informative and honestly makes me want to get up and try animating. The only problem would be getting off the couch. I totally understand you, dude. But it's possible. It's possible. You can do it. Speaking of which, do you have any suggestions for a free or cheap animation application for Mac computers? Well, honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with Mac computers. I don't have a lot of experience with Mac stuff in general. Mainly because Mac stuff is usually very pricey. But I have heard of a software called Synfig, which is a 2D animation software that is open source, which means it's free and you can use it on Windows and on Mac as well. So I don't know, I never tried it, I don't know how it is, I don't know what type of work you can do there, but might be something you can try out and see for yourself. And if you like it, just start doing animation there. And I don't know why my voice cracked like that, I don't fucking know! What is better, frame by frame or tween frame animation? Well, there's no better here. They both work in their own way. A lot of people bash tweening animation because it looks like a lazy way of animating. And a lot of people do tweening in a very lazy way. But frame by frame is also much more complex, much more difficult. Sometimes a simple movement can be done by tweening and it can take ages with frame by frame. First of all, it's a matter of choice. You can do really cool frame by frame and you can do really sucky frame by frame. Tweening looks like cheating because you draw it once. You just kind of have to twist it and rotate it around. But a lot of people can do this in a really cool way, and others just use it in a sort of a lazier way than others. Of course, frame by frame, when it's really well animated, has that particular look that is just amazing. But there's no real answer here. Both animation types are valid and both can look really good. So it doesn't matter what you decide, just go for the one that you feel more comfortable with. Sometimes I do a mix of both, with frame by frame and tweening, because that also works very well. Then there were two types of questions that were asked more than once. One of them was, am I BR, which basically means, am I from Brazil? No, I am from Portugal, which is kind of like the same thing, but not really. I mean, we do speak the same language, but we're kind of far away. But yes, I am from Portugal, not Brazil. But it's cool to have people from Brazil in my channel. It's actually really cool. Hugs for all my friends in Brazil. You guys are awesome. And once again, the most frequently asked question was, what software do you use? And I get that people that maybe are here for the first time, they watch a video and they're curious and they're interested and they want to know right away, what software do I use? Some of you guys that have been here for a long time sometimes actually jump in and answer the question. And I do appreciate that. It's really cool when you guys can help me out. But in case you're wondering, it's Flash. Macromedia Flash CS3 is the version I use to animate. Okay, those were all the questions. If I didn't answer your question, I'm really sorry. Maybe I've answered it before, I don't know. If by any chance I missed it, leave them in the comments of this video. Maybe I'll answer it in the next one. And I know I've been spending a lot of time just answering questions and I haven't said anything about the animation itself. But honestly, I didn't do a lot of things differently from the previous animations that have this particular style, but I did try out some new stuff. So firstly, on the sketch work, or on the animatic, whatever you want to call it, I started doing the usual thing that I do, but I decided to twist it a little bit halfway through it. I'll show you here, and it's also in that less good quality, so you guys can compare it again. Instead of just having a sketch of it, I decided to put a little bit more effort into it. I used orange as the sketch, and then I used the color of blue and red to draw different parts of the body, and I think it looked really cool, and it was really easy for me to do the line work afterwards. So that was a really cool new technique implementation that I used. Although right about at the end of the animation I realized that was taking a little bit too much time, so I decided to go with just the orange part of the animatic and just try to wing a little bit the line work, because I was really late at this point and I didn't want to waste any more time. So you could say that part was rushed, but not really, because I tried to be really careful when doing the line work so it would fit perfectly under the animatic. Back to quality. The other thing I did differently was changing my last two steps. And by changing, I mean trade them. Usually I do the shading, then the backgrounds, and on this one I decided to do the backgrounds first, then the shading. Why? Well, mostly because I didn't feel like shading the day I did the backgrounds, so I was like, I'm just gonna do the backgrounds first. Second, I wanted to try something different. And third is, when you have the background already done, you can do the shading according to the background. This happened on the FNAF 4 Part 2 animation that I did for Mark, where I painted in that very stylistic way with the pink shadows, and then I couldn't do a background that would fit that style. It took me a lot of trial and error, a lot of messing around with colors to actually get a background that would fit. So this time I decided to do the backgrounds first, and then the shading. I mean, I didn't do anything crazy with either the shading or the backgrounds. The backgrounds looked very basic, to be quite honest. But I don't know, I just wanted to try and do the shading on top of the background. I think it was a good idea to try that and see how it would work. But in general, there was no particular point to it other than just trying stuff out. I like to do that, try different things and see how it works. I've talked about this before and how I like to spice things up a little bit, do things differently, because you never know if that way is better or not. So I totally encourage you to do that. Anyways guys, that's it for this making of. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys learned something from it. I hope I've inspired you and also maybe entertained you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care.
Make me think about times that I don't want to think about anymore. All of our bro moments, our bromance.
Holy shit! That's my face!